Okay, now that you're warmed up from going for a walk or a jog or a cycle or whatever you did for 5 minutes rhythmically to warm up, you're now going to get into your mobility and activation. So you're going to do one set of a deep squat with thoracic rotation. So let's have a look at what that is. So you're going to get into a deep squat, down like so. If you need to hold on to a pole or something, you can. If you can't get this low, you can only get to here, that's fine. If you can only get so deep, say to here with a squat, then you'll be doing your rotations in the squat as you go down like this. But if you can get into a deep squat, come down, and then you're going to open up, alternating from side to side. Keep going with that. So you're going to keep going with that for 60 seconds. So we're probably about 30 seconds in. So keep going. The idea is to eventually be able to get those heels onto the floor. So keep going as I'm talking. The idea is to be able to get your heels onto the floor and not have the not be up on your toes here. So just try practicing every now and again, trying to just sink back onto those toes, onto those heels, even if you have to hold onto a pole or something to take your weight backwards and not topple over. All right, now we're going to move into the hip flexor dynamic stretch with our foot elevated. So I'm just going to turn, actually you can probably see the bench behind me. Actually I might use the wall. Turn you so you can see. So you're going to do 30 to 60 seconds on each side of this one. So getting your foot up onto that wall behind you, the further you can come in, the better with that knee. But if you do get cramping in the hamstring, then take it out a little bit. So what you can also do here is you can oscillate around that hip capsule as well. But if you're already feeling a really deep, intense stretch, I wouldn't worry about it. Until this stretch starts to feel pretty easy, that's when you can probably start moving around in this a little bit more. Some days you might feel tighter through the quad and up into your psoas. Some days you might not feel so tight. It probably will depend on what you've been doing. Other side, getting that knee in as close as you can. If you haven't got a wall like this, you can use a couch or a bench, a chair. So with this one, you're tilting that pelvis before leaning forward. You don't want to come all the way forward like this. Okay, if you're tilting your pelvis, that stretch should be nice and deep. Okay, so we're going to be moving on now to our side lying spine rotation. So hopefully see you there. Lying on your side, knees, with this one, pop one leg down, and with this top arm, hold your leg at the bottom. Now reaching out, open up. Reach out, open up. Trying to get all the way back to the floor on the other side. aim for 5 to 6 on each side with that. Yes, I've said 5 per side in the program. Switching sides. Bottom leg down, top leg up, bottom arm holding onto the top leg, reaching out. Reaching out just separates that scapula. And then it should fall back into place as you reach open and pull those scapula together. So opening the scapula, reaching open. Last one. Making sure you completely look over your shoulder to really open up the chest and to get that rotation through your thoracic spine. Alright, then scapular push-ups. So I've got 12 of these for you. So from this position here, knees back a little bit, hands over, shoulders and chest over the hands, and we're letting our scapula come up. And we're rounding out. Let them pop up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so that is your mobility and activation warm-up. If you want to do that another 2 or 3 times because you feel tight and you feel like you need a little bit more warming up, go right ahead, finish that off, and then come back and do the circuit with me. Okay, so you've warmed up. Let's get into the muscular endurance circuit. You're going to do 2 to 3 sets of this circuit, even 4 if you feel like it. So the first exercise is a single leg Romanian deadlift. I'm going to show you this movement with what we call a kickstand. So it's a support from the back leg. I'm going to do a body weight to start with, and then I'll show you with weight as well. I'm going to do it from the side so you can actually see, and I'll just lift my shirt so you can see where I'm hinging from. So I'm going to place one foot in front and one behind. Now they need to be on separate tracks, as you can see, not behind each other like so. And the whole time I'm doing this movement, I'm going to pretend I've got little headlights out the front of my hips, and they're going to stay pointing forward and then pointing to the ground the whole way. They're not going to shift out, okay? So first, we'll put the forward leg and the back leg, as you can see. Now, a Romanian deadlift is a stiff-legged deadlift, or just a little bit of a bend in the knee, but it's not a massive bend like a typical deadlift. So we're going to concentrate though on karate chopping from the hip and bending forward. You'll feel a stretch through the hamstring. We're trying to keep it as still as possible. The other thing to note is we want to try and keep our shoulders back and down. We don't want to come down and start rounding through the back and dropping to get to the floor. The point of this is not to be able to touch the floor. The point is to keep a straight line from your head to your tailbone, and if we're perfect, down to our heel as well. All right, so 8 to 10 per side. So we're coming down to a point where you feel like you need to collapse and back up. 1, 2, we're just moving the hands forward. 3 there, just an extension. 4, 5, you'll feel a lot of wobble, and that's just the stabilizers working to keep you upright. It is a single leg movement, which means that your stabilizing muscles are working overtime. All right, now we do the other side. Shoulders back and down, load the lats, so you should be able to feel your lats contracting as we go into the movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Also, I'm just going to show you with a little bit of weight in my hands. I'll just do a couple each side so that you can see with weight in my hands. So, this position here, I'm just keeping my arms coming straight down. 1, 2, my gaze is out the front so that my head stays in alignment. 3, 4. I'm just showing you a couple on each side. And I might just show you this one on the side so you can see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's your single leg Romanian deadlift. Now we've got downward dog to high plank, and you've got 8 to 10 of these as well. So downward dog, I might face this way so you can see what I'm doing. You can start on all fours if you like. Pushing back into a plank position, like so. And then coming up into a downward facing dog. Stretching out those hamstrings that you just worked. Coming down into a plank to work out core and our shoulder stabilizers. 3. A high there with your bottom. Now flat back. Working on those lines. Making sure that you've got those nice neutral lines happening through the body. Keeping yourself aligned the whole time. And I lost count, but you're doing 8 to 10 of those. That is your plank to a downward facing dog. All right, next exercise is a split squat static hold. For this one, I suggest getting something to balance with and something that you can put under your knee. So I'm just going to grab a foam mat. But you could use a rolled up towel or a pillow, and getting something to balance on. So a good place to do this is against a table where you can hold the edge of the table for balance, or if you've got a broomstick like this. What I might do is show you from the side so that you can see what I'm doing. Now we've got 5 5-second holds per side. So let's do this. So the first thing to note is the position that you need to be in. What we're doing here is a lunge from the bottom up, back down. Bottom up, back down. We're not coming from the top and going down. So we're working the deep core stabilizers, our hip stabilizers, our glutes. We're working all of that with this exercise here. should get your lunge game on strong, quickly. All right, let's have a look. So I start with the 90-90 and the 90-90 at the back. This here is just to help me balance when I come up. I want to come up so that my back leg is like an inch or two off the floor, and I'm going to hold that position as upright as possible. So I want to try and push that pelvis under, tuck it under, and try and stay as upright as possible. We don't want to be leaning forward, and we don't want to come up into a high position like this. So just taking a look, we come up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. You'll probably get a little bit of the shakes in this one. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. It's not a very big movement up off the floor. You need to be able to stabilize in that position at the bottom of a lunge. That's probably the hardest part of the lunge. Right, again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. Just slipping off the end of the mat there. And another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. And then you switch sides. Making sure you've got that 90-90 position here, 90-90 here. So when I say 90-90, the knee needs to be straight under my hip. Foot needs to be straight under my knee. Okay. Curl the toes under at the back, coming up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. Probably leaving it for 5 seconds at the bottom. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. The end. 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. And last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. I'm actually counting really fast, 5 seconds there. So if you want to do it properly, count to 5, nice and slow. All right, so you're going to do 5, lots of 5-second holds on each leg. All right, let's see what the next thing is. Okay, standing body weight calf raises, and of course you can be adding weight anytime you feel like you want to. So with calf raises, just coming up now, how many have I given you? 10 to 12. So keeping yourself in nice alignment, coming up, squeeze at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, engaging the glutes, engage your abs, always, every single exercise. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you wanted to progress this and make it harder, you can do it as a single leg. I'll just use this for a little bit of balance again. So you could take one foot up and do them as single leg raises, or you can single calf raises, sorry. Of course, there is the option to use a set of dumbbells, shoulders back and down, and if you're taking this option, take something in your hands that's really going to challenge you. put weight on those calves. All right. That is your body weight calf raises. Next we have the dead bug, and we've got 5 to 6 per side. So grab a mat. We're going to come down to the floor. I'll just move back so you can see me. How's that? All right. So with the dead bug, we're working on our deep core. We're working on our upper abs and our lower abs with this one by moving our arms and our legs. We're going to lay down, getting yourself into a nice neutral position for your spine. So we don't want an arch and we don't want to tuck. We just want to rock that pelvis and then find the middle. Arms up so your hands are stacked over your shoulders. Legs up so your knees are stacked over your knees. Your knees are stacked over your hips. Yeah, your feet are in line with your knees. And then take one leg and then the opposite arm down. 1. And then the other side. 1. And then the other side again. 2. Change sides. 2. Again. 3. Drawing your belly button down to the spine. 4. 5. One more each side. Sometimes when people do this arm tends to just wander all over the place. You want to keep it stacked the whole time, not moving. The same with the leg that's not moving. So whichever's not moving needs to stay in place, and this hand will stay in place. That's what challenges the core. You want to prevent, it's called an anti-rotation exercise. So we're trying to keep our body and our spine stable and aligned throughout that whole exercise to prevent rocking from side to side, which gives you that deep core stabilization. All right, and lastly, we have hand taps, and we're doing 10 to 12 per side. This is a real challenge, so if you find that 10 to 12 is too many, please drop it back to say 6 to 8, and then work your way up to the 10 to 12, all right? It's a plank position. Again, if a full plank on your hands and your feet, on your toes, is too much, you can drop this to your knees. I'm going to show you how. All right. What you're going to do, I might turn around so you can see my hands, or at least on the side so you can see my hands. There we go. All right, your hands need to be shoulder width apart. So if you find that that's the edge of the mat, come off your mat with your hands so that they're not, they haven't got a groove from the mat in the middle of them. Coming up into a plank position. And all you're going to do is take one hand from side to side. 2, 2, 3, 3. Now, as you can see, I'm not very good at this one. I'm going to come down to my knees. What we want to do is avoid that body rocking from side to side like I was just doing. So I can show you better in a knee position. So I want to try and keep myself from rotating, and that might look really easy from what you can see, but I am fighting through my abdominals to stop myself from rocking my body from side to side. It's a nice straight plank position. Tap, 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 tap. My body just wants to fight me and rotate, and we want to prevent that from happening. a lot harder than it looks, that one. So give that one a go. As I said, the way to regress it is to go back to 6 to 8 reps each side, or bring it down to the knees, and then eventually you want to be on your hands and your toes and be able to do 10 to 12 per side. All right, now that's our circuit. So there are all the exercises. What I'd like you to do is go through that all over again, 2 to 3 times more, maybe 4 times more, depending on what time you've got and what energy you've got. And then I want you to come back and join me for the for the metabolic conditioning that we're going to do after the circuit. All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, how'd you go? Did you finish that? How many more rounds did you do? All right, now that you've had done the circuit and you've had just a little bit of a breather, we're going to go into our metabolic conditioning circuit. We are going to be doing farmer's walks in our right arm, farmer's walks with our left arm. In between them, we're going to be doing plank jacks and Russian twists. I want you to try and get 4 rounds of this in, all right? With the walks, you're going to be walking about 20 meters or 20 paces. I'll let you decide. You can do more rounds if you feel like you haven't got a long enough space to work with. And you're going to be doing 6 plank jacks and 6 Russian twists per side. Now, if you're doing plank step outs, which I'll explain to you in a minute, then you would do 6 per side as well. All right, so let's get into this. With the farmer's walks, I want you to go and grab yourself something quite heavy that you can carry in one arm for about 20 meters. So I've got a 15 kilo dumbbell here. What I want you to try and do is keep it so that you've got something underneath your arm when you're walking. We want to avoid hitching the hip like this to carry the load. We want to load our lats, our back muscles, and our glutes and our core to keep the weight out from our body, not have it relax on our body. All right, so switch arms now because I'm getting heavy just talking to you. So I'm going to walk up and back. I'm just going to do 20 paces. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. As you can see, I'm really trying. The weight is challenging. I'm really trying to keep that weight out from me. Now quickly going into your plank jacks. Hopefully you can see me back here. I'm going to be jumping the legs out and I'm going to be keeping my plank position. I'll turn around so you can see me. Coming down into your plank position. Feet up. Jumping it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're doing per side, stepping it out. Just try to avoid your bottom coming up like this. Alright? Keep your plank low. So now you're going to go straight into another lot of farmer's walks with the weight in the other arm. So I'm going to do another 20 paces. Now, because you are doing single arm, it's really going to want to pull you to one side, so try and resist that. All right, that's where the work is. Now we're going to do 6 per side Russian twists. You can start this with body weight if you wish. Or you can grab yourself a dumbbell or a wall ball or just a dumbbell even. Something that you can hold in your hands and take from side to side. No need to bring the feet up, but you can do that if you want a little bit more of a challenge. But sitting back in a V and just going from side to side. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you have a ball like this, you can add in a bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure the weight is quite heavy. You're only doing 4 rounds of this, so make it challenging. If you want to make it a bigger challenge, you can take the feet off as well. All right, so oops, that is your metabolic conditioning. I want you to go back through this now and do this another 3 times at least, and then more if you want to. I'm just breaking the steps down here for you. You need to not take too much of a break. Keep going, 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 so that you get that heart rate back up and staying quite high throughout the whole circuit. All right, only taking a break if you really are losing form or you can't breathe properly. All right, girl, go for it. Okay, how'd you go? How many more rounds of that circuit did you get done? By now you should be huffing and puffing like crazy. So let's get into just a little bit of a walking cool down. So don't stop straight away. As always, you want to cool down. Now while you're cooling down, am I just walking around and you can't see my face? I'm going to talk about what stretches you're going to be doing. So the first one is going to be a lat stretch on the TRX. Now, if you have not got a TRX, you can do this in a child's pose with your arms out to the side. I'll show you that in a second. But everything else I don't think you need equipment for. I think it's pretty much just laying on a mat. So let's just get your heart rate down first. Always make sure that you bring that heart rate down safely, that you don't just suddenly stop, and do the stretches that are standing or have your heart, your head above your heart to start with, and then work your way down to the sitting and then the lying down stretches. That's the correct way to do it. Getting some deep breaths in if you're not, that heart rate's not coming down. Breathing deeply. Taking it out. All right, so let's grab the TRX if you have one. I'll just demonstrate it and then I'll demonstrate something that if you haven't got a TRX, what you're going to do is pull back on the TRX, keeping your head above your heart and just pulling back so that you get a stretch through your lats. So you might want to wiggle around till you feel it. You can do one side and then the other side, but you're going to hold it for about 60 seconds. Keep going with that if you are on the TRX, and I'll just explain if you haven't got a TRX what to do. So if you haven't got a TRX and you want to do a stretch like that, you could grab a wall and pull back, or you could just come down into, actually we don't want to start with this stretch. So yeah, maybe against a wall or a door frame, grabbing it on the side and just pulling back like so. I was going to show you the child's pose one, but we want to try and keep up off the floor while our heart rate's coming back down. So using a door frame or a pole to do a lat stretch if you haven't got a TRX. Now we're going to do the standing quad stretch, so pretty standard. Bringing the knees together, we're tilting our pelvis under so that we get that nice hip flexor stretch as well as through the quad. We're getting our psoas Ooh, I've got no balance at all today. So hold this for 30 to 60 seconds on each side. So the next stretch is going to come down to the ground. This is what we call a kneeling adductor stretch. So your adductors are insides, the muscles on the insides of your legs. There are several adductors in there. We're going to take our knees nice and wide, and what we're going to do is we're going to sit back and come up. Sit back. You can just hold it into the stretch at the back. And if you feel like just something a little more dynamic, you can bring it forward and take it back. Play around with that. If that is not giving you enough of a stretch, you can take one foot out and one knee in, and then sit it back so that your heel is down on the floor and your toes come up. It's a modified Cossack stretch, or squat I should say, and that should get nice and deep. Some people do this standing. The other side. Alright, then you have your piriformis stretch. So it's the piriformis is deep underneath the glute. We're just putting one leg over the other, reaching through and grabbing that thigh, laying down, keeping the feet flexed on both feet. If you feel like you want to bring it up, bring your head up. "30 to 60 seconds on each side for this one. Please take longer on these stretches if you need to. And the last one is a lying low back stretch. Now, this one is just leaving one leg flat or long and taking the other leg over, keeping that hand back behind you. You can look back behind you as well. We're feeling that nice stretch up through our back and through our glute. And the other side. One leg long, one leg bent, looking back behind you. If you want a bit more, you can pull that knee down. And that is your stretch and the finish of workout C. I hope you enjoyed it.